All right, Algebra 1. This is a test of teaching through video today, so I hope this works out okay for you. Your assignment today is going to be the first 10 problems on the handout, which is going to be 13 through 22. The first 5 are going to be problems where you will be finding two numbers, and it usually will tell you the sum of the two numbers is something, and then give you some more information. So anytime you have two numbers like that, it doesn't tell you they're consecutive or anything like that. One of them is smaller and one of them is larger. So right away, you're going to have an S and an L for your variables. So two things, one smaller, one larger. So I'm going to write S, and then if you look at this first sentence in this first example up here, the sum of two numbers is 34. If I add my two numbers together, I get 34. So S, my smaller one, plus L, my larger one, equals 34. Now then they'll give you another statement. The smaller number is 6 less than the larger. So my smaller number is S, and it is, so that's equals, 6 less than the larger. Remember, anytime you see less than, whatever is less than goes after. So it's 6 less than the larger. So it looked like that. And now what you would do is you would take this statement right here, L minus 6, and plug it in for the S in the first equation. So we'd have L minus 6 plus L is equal to 34. Then you just combine like terms, and L plus L is 2L. So we'd have 2L minus 6 is equal to 34. Add 6, and you get 2L is equal to 40. And then you find that L, the larger number, L is 20. So now we need to know the smaller number. Well, if the sum of them is 34, then the larger is 20, and the smaller, you can just subtract 34 minus 20 is 14. And that's it. So remember, when you're doing these sum of two numbers problems, you have a smaller one and a larger one, S and L. Let's look at the next example. The sum of two numbers is 50. So again, we're going to have a smaller one and a larger one, so I'm going to write S plus L equals 50. Because they add together to give me 50. Twice the smaller number is 20 less than twice the larger number. So the smaller number is S, so I'm going to say twice that, 2S, and then it says is 20 less than, remember that 20 less than goes at the end, so I'm going to write minus 20, and then twice the larger. So twice the larger would be 2L. Okay, so then, yes, okay. So what you're going to do here is you don't have one where you can just go ahead and substitute. So I'm going to change this S plus L equals 50 to be L equals 50 minus S, because all I did was subtract S from both sides. So that's a minus there. So what you can do there, I usually subtract the smaller one because then you don't have to deal with negatives most of the time. Take the 50 minus S, put it in for the L. So 2S equals 2 times 50 minus S minus 20. So then now we have one variable left, just our S. We're going to distribute here. So we'd have 100 minus 2S minus 20. And then combine these like terms right here. Remember, this is an S, not a 5. And we get 2S equals 80 minus 2S. And we can get the S's together. So we end up, I'm going to have to erase a little bit here. I'll erase it. Yeah, I'll erase right here. So we end up with 4S equals 80. And I got that from 2S plus 2S, and then the 80 is left over. We got a little lost. And then divide by 4 on both sides. And so that gives us, I'll erase again. There we go. So we know that S equals 20. Well, if the sum of the two of them, S smaller plus the larger, is 50, then that means that the larger must be 30. And that's it on that one. So let's look at another example. And this one has, I put this one in here because there are a few problems on your paper. Number 15 and there was another one. And number 17 have a statement where it says the difference between. And anytime you have the difference between two things, the first thing, you say the first thing minus the second thing. Okay, so let's look at these. We have the sum of two numbers is 26. So again, S plus L equals 26. Now the difference between 2 times the smaller, so I'm going to say that first. So that's 2S, and then minus, because this is the first thing it said, was 2 times the smaller. So it goes first and then minus. And then the second thing that we have the difference between is and the larger. So that means 2 times the smaller minus the larger. And then is your equals 10. So we need to find the two numbers, and again, we don't have one of our variables by itself, so I'm going to move this S over. And so that means L equals 26 minus S, and then I'll take that and I'll plug it in right here. And you have to be careful here because it says minus L, and you're going to have one like this. So you're going to go minus parentheses 26 minus S equals 10. And now what you have to do is you have to distribute that negative sign. So when you distribute a negative sign, remember it just goes with it, or it changes both the signs of the what's in the parentheses. So this would be minus 26, and then plus S equals 10. So then we combine like terms, and remember these S's kind of look like 5, so if you want to change that to another letter, that's fine, but smaller worked for me. 2S plus S is 3S, minus 26 equals 10. We're running out of room. We have 3S, we add 26 to both sides. We get 3S equals 36, and dividing them both by 3, we get S equals 12. So if the smaller number is 12 and they total 26, and we can say 26 minus 12, and get the larger equaling 14. So these are your two answers right here. Okay? So that cancels out there. All right, so let's move on to another example. And whoever is subbing, Mr. Gungle or Mrs. Bear, you can pause it at any time, back it up, whatever they need to make sure they understand how I solved it. Okay, I'm going to erase that. Let's get it out of the way. So let's look at this example. Here we're going to have consecutive integer and then consecutive even or consecutive odd integers. Now these are a little different from just when you have two numbers, because the integers have to be in order. So the first thing that we do is we find out, what do we have? We have two consecutive integers. I'm not even going to read the rest of my question yet. I'm going to say my first integer, I'm just going to assign it a variable. I always like to use ends when I'm doing integers. So my first one, I'm just going to say, is equal to n. Okay? Then the second one, if they're consecutive, then that means they're in a row. So the next one from my first one would be that number plus 1. So the second one is just n plus 1. Once you have those two things written down, and sometimes you'll have three, and you might, so if we had three consecutive integers, our next one would be n plus 2, because it'd be our first number plus 2. So say if n was 3, then the second one will be 4, and the third one will be 5. So that would be three consecutive integers. This time we're just doing two consecutive integers, so we're just going to use n and n plus 1, and then I'm going to look at the rest of my sentence. 3 less than 3 times the smaller. So 3 less than, remember, means minus 3, and I'm going to multiply 3 times the smaller one. Well, the first one is the smaller, so I'm going to say 3n, and then the minus 3. And then is twice the larger. Well, my second one is larger, so I'm going to say 2 times this. And that means I need to put the n plus 1 in parentheses. And then I need to distribute here on the right side. So we get 2n plus 2, and then 3n minus 3. And then I'll move my 2n over here, and I get n minus 3 equals 2. And then add 3, and I know that my n equals 5. Well, so that means my first number is 5, and my second number is 5 plus 1, which is 6. And those two numbers are consecutive. Looking at this next one, here we have three consecutive even integers. So the first thing I do is there's my first one. My second one has to be 2 up. It's going to skip 1, so n plus 2. And then my third one is going to be n plus 4. So here's 1, 2, 3. And it says the sum of them all is 42. That means I'm going to add all three of them together. So I'm just going to write it out this way. n plus 2 plus n plus 4 equals 42. And of course I ran out of room. And I only have 10 seconds left on this video, so I'm going to finish it in another video. And I guess that's it. So I will do another video, and whoever is subbing today will show you both. Bye.